Oh, is somebody going to record it? Thank you. Okay, mission on the bottom of Chaf Dalet Amud Beis. We could have done Musa already for while we're waiting. All right. Ve'elu chayv lahachriz. And these are the people, not the people, these are the things that you're mechuyev to announce. Matzah peiros bekli, if you find fruit in a kli, oy kli, kamashu, or just a kli. As you find fruit in a kli, or just a kli, mois, bekis, money in a wallet, a kiss kamashu, or a wallet the way it is, meaning just a plain old wallet. Tzvure peiros, piles in plural, which we'll see in the Gemara. Piles of fruit. Tzibare mois, piles of money, which we'll also see in the Gemara on Tamar Aleph now. Shloisha matpeya zal gab zeh, 3 coins, one on top of the other. Krichas v'rishus hayachid, and we mentioned that a couple of days ago. That's bundles of grain in rishus hayachid. The kikra shabalabayis, and loaves of bread for the balabayis, the gizei tzemer, and wool. What do you call it? The wool from the sheep. Halakuma bezeumen, that you take them from a store, right? Kadayayin, jugs of wine, kadei shemen, harei l'chayav and lachris. All of these are chayav. You chayav to be machris because there's some sort of siman on all these things. Since they have a siman, the person is not miyayish. Right? It's essentially the same. It's essentially the same rules that we always have. If a guy has if the guy has a siman, then he's not miyayish. If he doesn't have a siman, he is miyayish. Right? So that's all. So these are examples. Again, that's why I'm having a hard time understanding it. These are examples of what's considered yish, not yish. I mean, they're basic rules. But if a guy on his own decides that he's miyayish or he's not miyayish, so then it would be. I think it would be subjective, but I don't know. Anyway, so those are all the things that you need to announce. So Zog the Gemara, time of the matzah peiros bekli u'mos bekis. The reason why you have to make a hachraza and put up a sign or whatever it is because you found money in the kli and in the wallet. Hakli ulafan of peiros, but let's say you found the kli and there's peiros in front of it. Kiss ulafan of mois, or a wallet and there's money in front of the wallet. Harei u'shalai. Then they belong to the guy who bought it. Right? Not bought it, I'm sorry, who found it. Because they don't have a siman. Meaning, if the guy shows the kli, then in the Mishnah we have 2 cases. Money in a kli, fruit in a kli, or just a kli. Right? So the kli itself, the guy could have a siman, but that doesn't mean that he gets the money, because the money is considered something totally independent. Right? Tanina la datana rabbanon, we learn what the rabbanon said. Matzah kli ulefana of peiros. If you found a kli and there's peiros in front of it, his ulefana mois, and you had a wallet and money in front of Rei Lushalai, they belong to him. Miktsasan bekli u'miktsasan al gabi karka. If you have some of the fruit in the kli and some on the ground, miktsasan bekis u'miktsasan al gabi karka, some of it in the wallet and some of it in the ground, chayev la'achris, then he's chayev to call it out. Right? So Gemara says, or Raminah ask a stira, meaning now the Gemara is going to focus on this the fruit partially in the kli and partially not. So Raminah asks a stira, matzah davar she'ein by simin. If somebody finds a davar that doesn't have a simin, b'tzad davar she'yesh by simin, next to something that has a simin, chayev lahachris, he's mechuyev to call out on everything. Right? Again, it's something that has a simin, which would be, let's say, in our case, a kli or a wallet, and next to it is the money, which we just got finished saying one has nothing to do with the other. And just because you have a siman on the wallet or on the basket doesn't mean, or on the kli, doesn't mean that you get the money or the fruit. But here it's saying that Matzah davar she'ein by simin b'tzad davar sheyesh by simin. Something that has a simin next to something that doesn't have a simin. Chayiv lahachris. Ba bal simin, and let's say the bal simin comes. V'nata l'shaloi, then he takes what's his. Meaning, if he could prove that the kli is his, then he takes it. Zacha halah b'davar she'ein by simin. Then and then the other guy, meaning the one that found it, is zaycha in the thing that doesn't have a simin. So you see that you could split the money or the fruit and the utensil that it's in. Meaning they don't go hand in hand, right? But the first Gemara, so I mean that actually makes sense. I mean that fits. That each one goes by itself. But the kasha is that before we said he's chayav to be machras it, and here, meaning when it's partially inside the basket or partially inside the kli and partially out of the kli, he's chayav to be machras it, and here he's not. Right here he could just keep it. Some Rab Zid like kasha. The Gemara says a few different terutzim. Ha bekuva v'kisna, ha betzino peri. One is talking about kuva and kisna, which is a barrel of flax, and one is talking about tzino peri, which is a basket with fruit. Right, so flax, the flax we're going to assume if it's half out of the whatever it's in the kli, if it's half out of it, so then it should have something. I'm sorry, if it's totally out of it in front of, meaning you have a pile of flax and then a kli, we're not going to hook up the two together, right? Because it's not. It's how do you say it? I mean, I don't know anything about flax. Some of the flax would have stayed in the kli, right? But by fruit, it's possible that the fruit totally came out of the kli. Again, I don't know what this is all based on, but for some reason there'll be leftovers of flax in a kli. So if there isn't any in it, so it must be the flax that's in front of the kli has no connection to the kli, and then you have the basket with the fruit that you could have all the fruit fall out. So it's very possible that the two are connected, and therefore you would be able to. I'm saying you don't. If the guy doesn't give a siman for both, then he doesn't keep both. That's one teretz. So Papa Amar Hava Betzino Peri. Both of them are talking about a basket with the fruit. Like Kasha had the shtar b'midi, had the loya shtar b'midi. One is talking about where there's something left there, and one is talking about where there's nothing left there. Right? So meaning this is the chiluk, meaning he's clearly disagreeing. I don't know if it's so clearly, but the pashtus is he's disagreeing with the previous shita. The previous shita was holding that you're not really making much difference between whether there's something in there. Meaning the first shita is saying that if you find fruit in front of a basket, you have to give it back, right? That's what we said. His difference between the brises is the fruit can totally come out of a basket, and flax cannot, right? But and then mameli you would have to return or be machras about the fruit in front of the kli. Here, this shita, Rapapa saying, no, there's a difference if you find food partially inside and partially outside, and totally outside. If you find fruit totally outside, then it's not a problem. You're not a problem. You're not machras. Yeah. Or a third teretz. They're both talking about where there's nothing left there. But like kasha is no kasha. One is talking about where the basket is facing the fruit. And one is talking about where the basket is not facing the fruit. L'char, it seems like a pasha to answer. If you're chayshid that the fruit came out of the basket, right? So then shouldn't the basket be facing the fruit? Right? If the basket is not facing the fruit, the basket's not facing the fruit, then it's not, then l'chayra, the fruit didn't come out of there. Right? That's the third teretz. Both are talking about where its face is facing the fruit. Meaning, so there's the basket, and then right next to the opening of the basket, there's fruit. But like kasha, no kasha. Hod isle ugnin. One is talking about where it has ugnin letzano. One is talking about where there's a lip. There's a lip to the basket, which would, if you have a lip on it, that will keep some of the fruit inside the basket. So if you have a basket that has a lip on it, and then there's fruit outside of it, and there's nothing inside the basket, then it can't be the two are connected. Can't be the two are connected because the lip would have held back some of the fruit, right? But if there's no lip, then it's very possible that all the fruit came out of the basket. Yeah, fine. So those are the four tirutzim to be mataretz the stira in the brisa. So lamaisa, what happens if you find money in front of a wallet? I'm not sure what we come out with lamaisa, right? Do we say that all the money could come out? Do we say it all does not come out? I'm not sure. Okay. Then the next thing the Mishnah says that has a siman is
L'chayra today it would be very different. The point of all these answers are that fruit rolls and flax doesn't roll, so flax would stay in. Today we have paper money. If it's out of the thing, it didn't come from it.
the what?
It can't
the
just roll out of a wallet. Paper money can't roll out of a wallet.
It isn't derech nefila for money to fall out of a wallet like that, I guess.
Right, coins. If someone drops a wallet, a coin purse, which is open, the coins can fall out. They can roll out. They can fall out. Whatever it is. But with paper money, you have no such svara. There's no way to say it fell out.
Right. Okay. I don't know. I guess. Yeah. It probably depended on how it would fall and how the wallet looks. Is it folded? Is it not folded? Right? If you find it like open, face down, right? Okay, I'm not sure.
Even so, if you found it open face down, then the money would be stuck inside it. It couldn't possibly come out.
Right.
Even coins couldn't come out.
Right.
And that's the last teretz.
Right. I hear you. Okay. I'm telling you that everything's gonna be totally, yeah. Okay, fine. Tzivore Paris with Tzibure Mois, piles of Paris, so this is plural. It says piles plural of fruit, piles of money. Shamas Mina, so we hear from this, Minyan Havi Siman, meaning why is it that you have to announce it? So the Gemara is thinking now because piles is plural. So it must be that Minyan is Siman. So Tani, so we say no, learn Savur Paris, not plural. Just means one pile of fruit. So therefore the siman is not that there were multiple piles of fruit there. It's just that there was one pile of fruit. Yeah, so Shamas Mina, then the Gemara says Makam Havi Siman. So then let's learn that the Makam is a siman. Right? Meaning, because what else is the siman? If you have a pile of fruit, if you had multiple piles of fruit, and the guy says, hey, did anybody lose 3 piles of apples? So that's a siman. But now we're saying that's not a siman. We're talking about one pile. So then what is the siman? So then must be the place where the apples were, which we know we had a couple of times. The shiloh of whether a makam, where if a guy says, oh yeah, I left it over there in that spot, is that considered a siman? So must be that shamas mina makam have a siman. A makam is siman. So tani, so we say, tzibur Paris. It says piles of Paris in plural. Right? So it's interesting. So what exactly is going on here? We don't. It sounds like we don't know what the lashon of the Mishnah is. Is it tzibure plural or is it tzavar one? So like Rashi says, Memela, what we learn from this is you can't. There's no raya either way. You can't bring a raya either way to this. But that's basically what the Gemara is saying. Okay, fine. Shloisha matbei zel gavzeh. 3 coins, one on top of the other. So Amar Rav Yitzchak Migad Law. This is for Gershon. This is for Gershon right here. Right? It's saying, what does it mean? 3 coins, one on top of the other. 3 coins means that it has to be like a migdal. Why? Meaning it's 3 coins perfectly piled, one on top of the other. Right? So you see that his name is Reb Yitzchak Migad Law, and he's saying that the coins are piled up. Now this one, very interesting. So I looked in the art scroll to see what's going on, and the art scroll brings from the Maritz Chias that's where Hitaka got his name from, because he was known for this psak of the Memela. That's why he's not really known so much in Shas. Rabbi Yitzchak, I don't know exactly how many times they have it in Shas, but it doesn't say him too often. So Memela, he says he thinks, I don't know if he said, I don't remember the lashon, but that this is l'chayra where it comes from. Because this was his psak, this was he was known for. So he was called Rabbi Yitzchak Migadla, because he said that
his name could have been Rubenstein or something, before actually, But yeah, he's known for this. This is yeah. Where's Arn? This
right.
is
So
our board from.
yes, it's
Where's
right up.
Arn?
It's right up his alley. It's right up his alley. But
I'm right here. Frank, important to you also.
he's not looking for Aaron Akoyan.
I know. That's why I said it. Yeah, I know.
I understand. So it's interesting because I wonder all the other times where we have a Tana whose name seems to be based on his psak, if the Maritz Chayes says this also.
I said this to Aaron many years ago, and his about a year ago he said that his son and Eretz Israel, I don't know which son, whatever, he said he brought this Meretz Chayes also as a raya that the names are brought like this. Yeah.
The Maritz Chayes was from this Gemara, or is another Maritz Chayes?
No, I might be from over here. I'm not sure which one. He mentioned that his son had brought him a raya. It was years later. I mean, it was just, I think. I mean, I've learned with the Aaron for many years. So,
Right.
But it was
okay. It's interesting. Okay, so, anyways, his psak was that the coins. The Gemara is going to change this pshat in a few lines, but the coins, in order for it to be a simon, have to be perfectly piled up one on top of the other. If you find money spread out, they go to him. But if they were piled up, right, like a migdal means a tower. Is chayiv to call it out. And what does it mean that it's made like migdalim? It's 3 coins, one on top of the other. So Gemara says, "Hagufa kasha." You have a stira here. Amrit matzamois mefuzara ezarei l'shaloi. It says that if you find money spread out, it belongs to him. It's mashma shalchufe, right? But if they were just, Rashi says some of it was just sitting on another, meaning they were just random coins. Chayiv lahachras. That's mashma. You would have to be machras. Aim a sefer, but what about the sefer? I assume ki migdal and chayiv lahachras. If it's made like a migdal, like a tower, then you chayiv to be machras. That's mashma that if it was spread out, it belongs to him. So it's a stira from the Reisha to the Seifa. Tana kol shein asuyim k'migdalim mefuzaras karilu. No, this Tana, anything that's not like a migdal is considered spread out, and therefore there's no siman on it. Meaning, in what he's saying, it's very specific. There's meaning the Havamina of the Gemara thinks that a migdal is a one piled up on top of each other, mamish straight up like a tower, and mefuzaras means all over the place, right? But then there's some sort of middle ground there that the Gemara was asking a steer on. So now the Gemara is saying, no, there's no middle ground. It's either all in or out, meaning if they're all 3 perfectly piled on top of each other, call it out, and you have to put up a sign. If they're not, even if they're off slightly, then I think slightly, then you don't call them out, because that's not called a sim. But again, the Gemara is going to change this. This whole din is only if it comes from 3 different kings, meaning there's 3 different coins, 3 different countries. But if they all come from one king, he's not mechuyev to call it out. All right. Meaning what we're thinking now is that it's not enough of a siman if all 3 coins come from the same currency. They have to come from different currencies. Hey, Chidami, what's the case? Well, like, what's the case? If it's made like a migdal, you just said that if there's piled up straight up like a tower, then even one king. And if it's not like a migdal, then even 3 kings also not. Either it's a siman or it's not a siman. So we have to change this pshat. We're only talking about 1 king that's similar to 3 kings, right? Meaning they're different sizes, like a nickel, dime, quarter, right? We can skip the parentheses. We can say it. So 1 king, he's not chayav to be machras. Okay, and what does it mean? What's the case that it's like a migdal? Ravicha tata, the widest one is on the bottom. Meaning, if you're saying that, before we were saying that it's a migdal, that they're all exactly the same, one pile on top of the other. Now we're saying that it's different sizes, so now we have to figure out how is it piled up. So it's simple. What does it mean they're made like a migdal? Ravicha tata, the bottom one is wide. Metzia ilave, the middle one is on top of it. Bezuta ilave, Metzia, and the smallest one is on top of the middle one. So it's like what do you call it? Is it a pyramid? I guess, right? It's like a pyramid, right? It gets the smaller coins go up. Because we say who put it like that? It must be somebody put it down like that purposely, so therefore it's a siman. But 1 king, the kulu ki hadadi nenu, meaning they're all the same size coins. Avagav the manchi hadadi, even though they're one on top of the other, they go to him. Why? Again, this is hard to understand. It happened that way. They all perfectly fell exactly 3 coins right on top of each other. Right? Now, I don't know. I mean, what's the chances of that happening? It
Wouldn't
fell
it
out
be
of his pocket.
the smaller ones on the bottom and it got bigger on top? Can't fall that
With
way.
what?
The smaller one on the bottom and the bigger one on top and the biggest one on top of that. The opposite.
What are you asking? You're saying that it should be the opposite, or are you asking what happens if it is the opposite?
If it is the opposite, would be a bigger siman.
What's the difference? When they're different sizes, it's always a siman.
No, it seems like it has to be piled up. It has to still be piled up like that.
I thought you were going to ask the other way around. If they're piled in different denominations. In other words, if he has 1 copper coin, 1 silver coin, 1 gold coin, and it goes gold, silver, copper, is that a siman?
Well, I'm saying it's going to be all be totally in. What are people? There's 2 things that need to. Maybe there's more than 2 things, variations that we have here. 1 is, do people think it's a siman? 2, are we chaysher that a taka fell, which is really the same. It's really the same yesod. I mean, right now the Gemara is saying that it's possible that you have 3 coins that fall exactly on top of each other, and it just happened to have fallen that way. I don't know. To me, it's hard to understand that the Gemara would say something like that. But that's exactly what the Gemara is saying. I don't know why coins can't all fall the same way, with the biggest one on the bottom and the middle one on the middle. And why can that also fall that way? The Gemara is saying that it doesn't apply. Yeah. Okay. So again, confusing how to know when and how to paskin with these things. Fine. Rabbi Yochanan disagrees. Rabbi Yochanan, even if it's all the same size coins and they're one on top of the other, you also call it out. Which is what we're saying. Which, right? I don't know where, but I understand this one much better. That what's the chances of 3 coins, each one falling exactly on top of the other? So my machras. What my machras? So what do you call out? Minion? L'chayra means minion. You have to say how many coins. Meaning, again, when you're making an announcement or putting an ad in the paper or on a WhatsApp chat that you found the coins, what are you saying? What are you not saying? So l'chayra, you're going to say you found 3 coins, and the guy that wants to claim it is going to say how the coins were. Like this, he knows that it wasn't. He'll know that it was. He's not lying. So then, if that's the case, so in my area tlasas, then why do you have to come on to 3 coins? Afilu tren nami, even 2 coins. So Ravina, tava machriz, not tava tiva machriz. All he does, he announces that he found coins. Then he has to say both. According to this Gemara, l'chayra, what he means, Ravina, is saying that the guy, you just announced you found money. When the guy comes to claim the money, he's got to tell you 2 things. 1, is it how many coins? And 2, how they fell. All right, now how come 2? So why not with 2 coins? So Rashi says, because 2 is when you say coins, so the minimum amount of coins in plural is 2. Right, so therefore it wouldn't be any sort of simon. Okay, fine. But the bottom line is we have a machlokes whether coins falling one directly on top of the other is considered a simon or not. Fine. By Rav Yirmiyah, kisher mahu. What happens if the coins are in a circle? Right? Now, is that considered a simon or not? Kishura mahu. What happens if it's in a straight line, meaning not up and down? What do you call it? Horizontal? Right? It's the 3 are one next to each other. Kechatsuva mahu. What if it's like a tripod? So a tripod would be 2 on the bottom, 1 on the top, I think. I don't know. Does that mean that, or does it mean if you're looking at it, it looks like 3, like a segel? You know, the kuda segel? Yeah, I think that's what it means, because the next Gemara is Masha, it's one on top of the other. So meaning it's like a perfect. The truth is Rashi says it right there, the bottom of the Rashi. I don't know if your Rashi has it. My Rashi, second Rashi up from the bottom, has a little 3 little circles.
3 asterisks.
3. Well, you have asterisks. I have little circles. Yeah. Okay. Kesulama. What happens if it's like a ladder? Right. That already is more. That's like. That sounds like. I mean, how does it stay up? Right. One, unless it's like those. In those places that rip you off. You know, the arcades where you put in the coin and one coin goes on top of the other coin. You try and get it. So then you put in the coin and hopefully pushes the coins off. I guess you could theoretically have them balance like steps. Right? It's not a ladder. Is not exactly the way Rashi is describing it. Right? Rashi says there's a majority on 1. It's a step. It's not really a ladder, but I guess that's what Sula means. Either way, these l'chayra seem to be pretty good simanim. But that's the Gemara Shaila. So the Gemara doesn't know. The Gemara says Pashad mehachada. At least be paishit 1. One of these shalas. If you would put a little piece of wood in between the coins, right? And you'd be able to take all of them at once, then you chayav to be machris. All right, what does this mean? I didn't really understand this. Now that I'm saying it, which is why we're supposed to learn the rabbim, because you understand things better. At least I think I'm understanding it better. Basically, you're going to put the toothpick, let's call it a toothpick, and you're going to put it under the coins, and then when you lift it up, the coins will not fall. Does that make sense? I mean, it sounds like a magic trick. But if you could do that, then you're chayav to call out, because if it worked like that so perfectly, then it must be the guy placed it there on purpose. Maybe it was a magician who was doing a trick and then forgot to pick it up. Right? Maybe. I don't know. But that only works l'chayra for the last shaila, the one that it's steps. It doesn't answer the other shailas. I don't know. I find it fascinating that the Gemara doesn't find these things to be simonim, right? That means you have to say that it fell in a perfect circles, or whatever. All these type of things. What's the chances? I don't know. This is why when people say they found money, it's very difficult to know whether there's a simon. Really, you really get to keep it, right? It's very hard to say that you have to return money. Okay, fine. Boy Ravashi. Antome Beis now. Ka'abne Beis Kulis Mao. What about like the stones of a base kulis? So Rashi says it's called mar kulis. Which Taisus says that it's called kulis, and they call it mar kulis. We added the mar because bitter, because it's a name of Avodah Zarah. So we don't want to just say kulis. We say mar kulis. Right? So what happens if it's like a mar kulis? Now what does that mean? If you find money spread out, it goes to him. Ka'avni base kulis, if it's like the stones of a base kulis. You see here, the Gemara is not calling it mar kulis. Rashi tells you that it's kulis, right? But if it's set up like the stones of base kulis, chayiv la'achris, he's chayiv to call it out. Ve'eluhein avnei base kulis, and what are the stones of base kulis? Achas mikan, v'achas akabein. One here, one there, and then one on top of them. All right, so that also looks a little bit like a pyramid. So and the Gemara is clearly saying that that is considered a siman, and therefore the guy is chayav to be machrizit. Fine. So Tana Rabbanon, Metzia sell b'shuk. If somebody finds money in the street,
It sounds like it's set up like Stonehenge. You know Stonehenge, where you have like those.
Stonehenge, yeah. But Stonehenge is one. Is it one on top of the other? The Stonehenge?
Yeah, it's two like legs, like a table, and then one on top.
Oh, so is that Avodah Zarah? What do they say about that?
I don't know. That's why it sounds very much like that. I've never heard it before in the Gemara, but it sounds very much like it.
Yeah, l'chayra, you're right. Be interesting to
Pretty
know.
sure Stonehenge is an Avodah Zarah.
It is Avodah Zarah?
Pretty sure. It's built by the Druids, so probably yes.
I thought it was built by aliens.
These coins are set up in a way of Avodah Zarah. What's the yid doing? If they're obviously not Jewish coins.
No, I don't rock them. I don't.
Coins. Why can't you just take and finish it?
No, but I don't think it means that. I just think that's just a way to describe it. I don't think it means. They're just describing it as. Then you have a different kasha. Why are you describing something as Avodah Zarah? If what I'm saying is right, then you have a good kasha. Since when do we use Avodah? It's like a guy in Yonah Diak. I see a guy walking in the Meir Sharm last night in a Santa Claus outfit. Like you couldn't find anything better to dress up as in Yerushalayim.
Yeah, instead of saying he had a cross, he had a plus sign. Since I had a plus sign, why do you have to say cross?
Yeah.
Like your father used to say, the mumser, the mums on it.
Yeah. But anyway, so okay, but I don't think it means it's Avodah Zarah.
Nachman just answered his own question. We would say like a cross. Someone who makes a T in English, an English T, right? So people that don't make the people who make an extra the leg bend, or they only do it from one side because otherwise it looks like a cross. We do say that. That's exactly the same as Kavne Beis Kulis.
Kind of confusing from a plus sign. These schools send out these math things, and I don't even know what the symbols are anymore because they don't know they don't use the plus sign anymore.
Yeah. Anyways, okay, so that's so then okay for whatever reason the Gemara seems to be saying that these two coins, the one on top is a siman, but the circle and the ladder is also a siman if you could stick a toothpick in there and pick it up. But the circle and 3 in a row, that's not a siman. That we don't know. The Gemara doesn't know the answer to that question. Yeah. Okay. Tanrabanan. If somebody finds a coin in the shuk, and he finds his friend, it's mine. Hadashahi, He said it's a brand new coin. Nirainius it's from Nirainian. That's a Caesar, one of the Caesars. Right? Shomelech Plinihi, and it's from a king. I don't know what that means exactly. I think these are ors, not ands. Right? Shomelech Plinihi, Loyam Klum. He said nothing, meaning that none of those things are a siman. And not only that, even if the guy wrote his name on it, right? Sometimes you have a dollar bill, somebody writes his name on it to see if he'll ever get it back. Right? Even if his name is on it, we still say it's nothing. There's no such thing as a siman for a coin. To Amar, because we say because maybe the guy spent it, meaning yes, I had my name on it, fine. Then you went and spent it. And the guy that you spent it, you gave it to, that you bought whatever it is that you bought, he dropped it. So bottom line is the Gemara is saying coins have no siman whatsoever, and you don't have to call it out. You could just keep it.
That's it.
The only,
Right.
I just
the
had this
only
last
reason that-
week. I just had this
What's-
last week in my front, my sidewalk, which is on my property. I found a nickel, a buffalo Indian head nickel. Now that's not too common, right? If anybody knows anything about coins, older guys, the buffalo has the buffalo on one side and then it's Jefferson on the other. It's very hard. It's rare. It's rare, especially to find it on your sidewalk. So, yeah, it turned out I was able to figure out where it came from by questioning everybody. It was, but in of itself, it's a strange thing. If you would find a rare coin, I would say something's really different there. It's like, something's really different. But yeah, just so happens.
Rachamim, Rachamim, you doing hakafas?
No, I'm in shul over here, and it's easier for me to walk around because it's cold. So I'm keeping myself warm.
Eretz, I was gonna say maybe he started drinking already.
So maybe I thought you were going to say he doesn't need to drink.
Right.
I don't understand if it's not shriach, Dilma Fuke Afka. I mean, it's not shriach. The guy writes his name on a dollar bill, and it's going to come back to him. Roiv dollar bills are not Roiv dollar bills are not going to come back to you. So maybe I could use the Roiv and say that it's not going to come back to him.
I don't know. And Hanami, I hear what you're saying. If you ask me a shaila straight, before we learned this Elam Metzias, last week you come to me and say, I found a dollar with a guy's name on it. Should I call him up? And over? I would say 1,000% you should. Right?
So I'm saying, so Roy will tell you that you don't have to give him back the money.
But the Gemara is not going with that. The Gemara is saying that that's it. Across the board, there is no siman on coins.
What's the lumdus of the Gemara? Why?
Because it might have been spent. It seems like the lumdus of the Gemara is that it has to be close to 100% that this guy.
I'm going to tell you, it's Roy that it doesn't. That when
Zev, I don't understand. This is round one or round two for you? The question
Zev,
is
we gotta get to the
round
teacher.
two.
Some of us got little kids at home. Let's go.
I don't think there's a Rive. I don't think Rive is enough. I don't think it's enough, Rive. Where are you getting that Rive is enough?
Rive, what do you mean? If you Rive with his stuff doesn't come back to you.
I'm just saying, Rive, but I don't think Rive is enough to be called a siman.
I hear.
That's what I think. That's why. But I don't know. I'm going to try and do Shulchan Aruch on this and see if I get something out of it. Mistam I won't, but I'm going to try.
Okay.
I'm going to try. But bottom line is there yesterday's daf? Well, that was your other kasha, Lefnim Meshuras Adin yesterday, right? Is there a Lefnim Meshuras Adin on this? Sounds like, yeah, like yesterday was talking about coins, and he told him Fnim Shuras Adin. Right? So I'm not sure if there's the Fnim Shuras Adin on this or not. Okay, weiter. Sag the Mishnah. Motza achar hagofa achar hager.
Yesterday's was talking about the Arniki, not the coins.
Well, I assumed the Arniki had coins, but you're right. You're saying it's only an Arniki without the
Yeah, but the
coins.
Simmons on the Arniki, yeah.
No, there was no. It was. You mean it's only din in Rishus Harabim that's the in Rishus Hadin, but
It's
not
very
off coins.
specific. Yeah.
But money has no simon. You don't give it back, right? That's what we're coming out with, even if you write your name on it. What's the famous story from Ruby Shron? It was Lefi Mashuras Hadin, but that's because it was in the house?
No, first of all, it was the famous because it was a guys.
Okay.
Which
And
is
L'chara-
exactly the point of yesterday's Gemara, right? Kananim.
Right. It was a guys, and it was in his own house. If it's in his own house, I don't think you have the same qualifications for simon.
He didn't spend it. It's in his house.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna see on the bottom of Ovid actually, or is it gonna be tomorrow? Not is it today's Ovid? I don't even remember. It's all a challenge. We're gonna get to it soon if you find in your own house money. But it probably doesn't answer your kasha anyways. Anyway, so matzah achara gafa achara geder goizlos mikusharim. Let's say behind a fence, gafa is a fence made out of wood, and geder is a real fence, right? A regular stone fence. So, and then behind the fence, you found goizlos, birds that were tied up, or in the roads that they have going through fields, you found them tied up. So, don't touch them. Right, which is also interesting. What like yigaban? You shouldn't like notal. Don't take them. He said, don't even touch them. Right. So I don't know why the Gemara is using that type of lashon. Matzah kli ba'ashpa. So that's case number one in the Mishnah. If you find birds tied up, so then don't touch it. Matzah kli ba'ashpa. If you find the kli in the dump, if the kli, we had this yesterday's daf, if it's covered in the garbage, don't touch it, because the reason why it was covered is because he was hiding it there. In Megula, but if it's laying on top, then noitul machers take it and call out. Fine. So Dr. Gemara, my timer. What is the reason? Why shouldn't you touch the birds? Somebody hid it there, right? It's behind the fence and it's tied up. See, again, you see, Zev, this look. I mean, they asked me, and you had a few birds tied up, I would be fine enough simon for me, right? Or if it's right behind the fence, that should be enough simon. No, the Gemara is saying you need two things, right? Which we'll see weiter. The ishakalahu, because if you're going to take them, I think, right, the Bach to eat. No, hacha. No, I'm sorry. The Bach sticks in the word hacha. Hani inish it's nenu hacha. These guys hid it here. And if you're going to take it, less lumarayus, he's not going to have any simon. Right? How's he gonna have a simon if you take them? Which I'm not sure I understand, because he'll give you the simon that it was before you took it. Right? Hilkach l'shavkinu, leave it there. Adasi marayo v'shakalu. Let the master come and take it. Don't become such a good Samaritan. Right? Just leave it and he'll get it. So why levi kesher simana? We said it was tied up, so why can't it not be a simon, which we had a couple of times already? The Gemara says that a knot is a simon, or the Gemara thinks that maybe a knot is a simon. It's talking about where they were tied under their wings. That is the standard way to tie birds. So maybe that's no simon whatsoever. Like we said, if somebody finds an eggs and the guy tells him it's a dozen eggs, that's not a simon, because that's the norm, right? Fine. So then it says, well, having makam simon. Why don't you let the makam be the simon, right? Well, I mean, he lost the birds on the other side of the fence. And it's talking about where the birds are jumping around. So, meaning even though the wings, I guess not even though, since the wings are tied, then they're jumping around. So Mamela, it's not. There's no siman for that. So the Gemara says even medaden me'ama asu. If they're jumping around, so then it came from the world, the mutar, and then they should be mutar. So my answer, equal remember me'ama asu equal remember in the shatzinu. This is a big yisai right here in Shashavas Aveda. You could say that it came from the world. We don't know. We could say that a person hit it. It's a suffix whether the person put it there purposely. Anytime you misupik whether a guy put it there, don't take it. And if you did take it, you shouldn't give it back. Right? So yeah. So basically, you have to, with every Aveda, you have to start clearing what's what. Is it something that, like in a garbage dump covered over, or 3 chickens behind the fence? You have to say, okay, the guy, this is purposely done, don't touch it. Right? Then you have the place where it's totally hefker, where it's like nobody would ever do this. So then you for sure just keep it. And then you have the middle, which is the hardest. You have the middle range, which is the most difficult to figure out, where it's halfway there and halfway not. Yeah, fine. So if you found the kli in the dump, so if it's hidden, don't touch it. If it's open, then you take it in your machas. If you find a kli that's hidden in the ashba and the garbage dump, you take it and you call it out. Because it's the olafanos, it's the derech of a dump to be removed, meaning to remove things. Right? It's a straight up stiro. Here we're saying, and our Mishnah was saying there's a difference whether it was covered over in the garbage and not covered over. And here we're saying that you always call it out because people are constantly, what do you call it? They're constantly removing the garbage. So why should you take it? Because if you don't take it, the guy's going to lose out. I mean, if the garbage is constantly being removed, so you got to take it. You can't leave it there on the chance that somebody taka left it there purposely. Whatever it is, it's a stira, whether you call out things that are in the garbage or not. Someone else did, like kasha, ha, bekuvi, v'kasi, ha, b'sakini, v'himnik. One is talking about kuvi and kasi, which is barrels, and kasi is cups, which are big. So that if you find that in a garbage dump, you can assume that if it was there on, the guy doesn't care about it and is throwing it out. But the other one is talking about knives, and the himnik comes from the word, from like by a lulav, right? It's like a fork, it's some sort of fork, right? The top of a lulav, if it goes, the tops go out like this, like a himnik, then it's puzzle, right? So that's what himnik is too. Don't touch it. No, I said it wrong the other way. Bekuvi v'kasi, I said before, keep it. No, it's the other. Bekuvi v'kasi lo yiga, don't touch it, because nobody puts such big things like that in the garbage. Meaning, if he did, say he's doing it on purpose, right? And if he didn't, then I think that's the way to understand it. If he did it meaning it's not a mistake. It's not. The point is, it's not a mistake, so don't take it. It's a kini v'hamnik, but with a knife or the forks, then you should take it and call out, because, and I'm sure we've all done this. You wrap up the tablecloth, and there's a fork in there, right? Or there's a knife in there, right? That's a big shaila in Hilchas Shabbos. Is it boirer to go get the fork out of the garbage? People don't realize it's not a pasha the thing. You threw out the plastic tablecloth, and there's a fork or a knife in there. So now it's in the garbage, and you're going to try and fish it out of the garbage. That's taking yud. You're taking the good from bad, right? You're taking the fork out of the garbage, but it's not for immediate use. So since it's not for immediate use, it's boirer. So what the poskim say to do is, if you lose your fork in the garbage or your knife, then take it out, wash it, or don't wash it, and use it.
That's more like Morocade, isn't it? More like Morocade. Boyer is taking the bad, you're taking the good, and Morocade is taking the good out.
Rachamim. Just because you're being Morocade doesn't mean that we're going to call it Morocade, right? Merakin also means dancing, by the way. Merakin means dancing. Racham was trying to say that it means how do you say sifting?
So sifting. Yeah,
Yeah.
sifting. You're always taking the good stuff from and leaving the bad behind.
Right. Okay, that's true. But anyways, I'm sure we've all done this and left something something small in the garbage. So Mamela was saying, go take it away from there because the guy is not going to chop that it was missing. Fine. Rav Papa Amar has a different teretz. Hava Bakuvi Vikisi, they're both talking about with barrels and cups. Like kasha, no kasha, kan ashpa hasuya lifanis. One is talking about an ashpa that's going to be that they normally do remove things, and kan ashpa she'ena hasuya lifanis, and one is talking about an ashpa that it's not made to remove. So Gemara says ashpa hasuya lifanis aveda midasi. If somebody puts something in a garbage that he knows that they're constantly taking away the garbage, that's an aveda midas. I mean, he's doing it up. I mean, he knows exactly what he's doing. So don't take it. Who would ever leave something that they want to hide in a garbage that they constantly pick up? If the guy did it, then it's aveda midas. So you don't have to do anything. I mean, you don't have to take it, and you don't even have to call it out if you decide to take it. Right? So that can't be the case. It's talking about a garbage that they're not going to remove it. And he changed his mind to remove it. Right? So Mamela, you don't know. I don't know if he changed his mind or I guess whoever's garbage is that changed their mind and decided to go pick it up. So they're going to ask we understand according to this teretz that it says that the derech of the ashpa is going to be removed. Right? El Rav Zvid, but according to Rav Zvid's teretz, the first teretz, derech ashpa lefanis. He says the reason why you should take it is because the derech of the ashpa is to remove it. Right? Meaning, if that's the case, Rav Zvid's teretz is that we're talking about small kalim, like forks and knives, people throw it out by mistake. If that's the case, then you should have to take it out of there and put up a sign, regardless of whether they're going to remove the garbage or not. That's basically what the Gemara is asking. The Gemara is saying, Rav Zvid said that the teretz is because the forks and the knives, because they're going to, it's because they're going to remove all the garbage. So you better go take it for the guy. Yeah. But it's not, that has nothing to do with it. We're saying it's because it falls. Right? I mean, whatever, people will forget it there. When answer so what it means, it's that it's the derech of this dump to remove small kalim. Right?
To remove.
Meaning, I don't know. I guess is this to remove small kalim? Is this like a precursor to
no?
Who?
To empty into it. It's normal for people to empty their small forks and knives into it. Like you were saying, like the plastic, you wrap up a fork and knife.
Okay, good. You answer my. Okay, good. I didn't chop that. Yeah, you're right. I was thinking that they remove only the small utensils because then I was thinking that it's a precursor to what do you call it? Recycling. I guess that's why my head was clouded. That it's recycling, but you're right. It's the derech for people to put small kalim into it by mistake. That's what he means. He means it's the derech to put in small kalim, and therefore, meaning by mistake. So therefore, you should call it. Therefore, you should call it out. Right? Yeah. Okay. We'll stop over here. Let's say a parak tilim.